I'm live. Looks like, hi everybody. It looks a little bit different. It's a little bit, does everything sound okay and look okay? Can I get a 5x5 in the chat, please? And let me know. Oh man, I need to fix that paint thing. I forgot about that. Um, Yay, thank you, Trevor. Okay, awesome. So I got a webcam. I'm like almost like a full-blown grown-up YouTuber. Almost. Um, Awesome. Yeah, I got a webcam, so that means I no longer have to go live from my phone. I can actually, like, I don't know, have my phone next to me and somebody can text me if I have a booger in my nose or something. Hi, everybody. Hi, guys. And the microphone sounds, I think I'm still using the microphone from the computer. But let me see. So next time, maybe I'll try, baby steps. So I've got the thing now. I've got the new computer. I should be able to start doing interviews soon and start doing some other stuff that I have in the works. Hi, you guys. It's really good to see all of you. Good. Yeah, one of a girl that is very helpful and has been messaging me. She's a photographer, told me that part of my problem is that with the contrast was that I was always wearing black. So she's like, try wearing white and it won't be as blown out. I have an echo. Crap. How bad is the echo on a scale of 1 to 10? I love you guys too. Camera is a little blurry. I wonder if it just needs to like focus on me. No echo at all. Okay. All right, cool. Thanks, you guys. Yeah, I don't know. We'll get the kinks worked out of it eventually, but this is not bad for the first. I literally didn't even test it at all today. I probably should have just did a quick stream this morning and tested it, but so Tesla is hanging somewhere else now. This is we called him Pretty Dude. This is who I originally started this. He was always behind me. I might move Tesla back, but I'm actually probably going to get an entirely new setup behind me. I'm reconfiguring everything, guys. Kate is reconfiguring her entire life. And so this is going to be one of the pieces. So I just have him here temporarily until I get things figured out. But I also have to, I need a desk. I just have this little thing here that like can only hold one of my computers. And so now I've got two computers. And so I can do all kinds of fun stuff eventually. Nothing that cool. Let's face it, it's still me. So again, I have still completely been keeping out of the loop as far as what's going on. And it feels great. So I am slowly getting back in. I reconnected today with some old friends, and they are helping to get me up to speed with what's been going on with the election and everything in the world, all of the craziness. But for right now, I am still in the process of, I mean, I'll probably be back. I'll probably be back on Twitter, maybe even tomorrow. I don't know. But, I'm still taking my time. I'm still reading my books. And that's actually what I wanted to talk about today. Is some people are having audio issues, but it doesn't look like everybody is. So I'm not sure if that's on my end. So once upon a time, I read The Law of One, and actually, I've read it maybe 5 times now. This might be the 5th time that I'm reading it. And the first time went completely over my head. The second time, I was like, this is pretty cool. And some of the things were ringing pretty true with me. And then the third time, was it the third or fourth time? I don't know, whatever. It was either the third or fourth time that I read it was 2 years ago, right after my awakening. And it was like a completely different book to me. So I felt compelled to make an episode about it. Remember, well, I don't know if you guys have been around for a while, I didn't always just do lives. This is what I've gravitated towards just because it's so much easier for me to just stay up to date with what's going on every day than it is for me to make like one topic videos where I just do a deep dive and then talk about it. There's so much more work that goes into that as far as like editing and all of that stuff. And plus, there are so many other channels out there that are putting that content out in a really great way that I kind of felt like that wasn't where I was supposed to be. I kind of felt like I was supposed to be here with you guys doing this live and connecting with you. And so but in the beginning, I was still like very ambitious and I was like, I'll do both. And so I made a couple episodes on on 17, a two-parter, and then I made one on the media. I did one on, I think, the Mueller investigation, and I actually made one on the Law of One. And then I got talked out of. I actually like like did everything. I did all the research. I read all the books. I put together the script. I recorded it. I edited it. I got it all ready to go, and then I got talked out of putting it on my channel from someone who kind of thought that it might be polarizing as far as the content of it. And I get it. And that person gave me the opportunity to actually kind of to feel things out. And now I have come back around and decided that I do want to share that content, even though it could be polarizing, because let's face it, even though it's not supposed to be a religion, they actually specifically say that. Like, part of the problem was this information came through and then got distorted in a way that people started turning it into a religion. And they were like, no, that's not what we meant to happen. So it's not, to me, these are the things that I read that I'm just like, I literally will read a few sentences and then have to take it in, because it's just like ringing these gongs inside me. It's like, yes, this is so true. I feel like at this point, a lot of us, our consciousness is ramping up so much that we only need to hear the truth in order to know it's true now. We used to be a lot more, at least I can speak for myself, this is true. I used to be a lot more, let's say, confused, a lot more easily fooled, I guess. You know, if information was presented in a really great way, I would just accept it. And now it's like, when I hear a lie, it's like I can almost hear this inner voice in me that's like, that doesn't sound right. And then on the opposite end of that, when I hear something that's true, it's like I don't even have to really consider it for very long. It's like instantly my brain accepts it. It's like, okay, I have a knowing now. I don't know if any of you guys feel the same way. You picked up Keepers of the Garden, Farron. That's awesome. On page 43, loving it so far. Thank you. Yeah, I actually still have that here if you guys are interested. This is what I went over last time. Keepers of the Garden by Dolores Cannon. This is really good. This is almost just like a continuation of the Law of One in a lot of ways. It has a lot of the same information, and it's presented, I think, in a more kind of readable way. But I would recommend reading the Law of One, the raw material, first before you read that book, because it'll give you an understanding. Oh, by the way, do you guys like my I've got paper towels stuck in here for like my bookmarks for some of these things. Direct knowing. Thank you, Tyler. That's a really great way of putting it. Yeah, so I am again reading The Law of One. It is again an entirely new book to me. For some reason, I just get something new out of it every time. And it's not a religion, but it just speaks to everything that just feels right to me. And so that's why I wanted to share it, because I know that a lot of us, the other thing I wanted to say is that a lot of us get very stuck on certain things, and we gravitate towards certain information or certain beliefs. And a lot of us learned throughout the course of the Great Awakening that we had been clinging in the past to things that weren't true. I was very guilty of that. I was one of those people that thought John McCain was like a really great guy. And, certain things, I really had to eat a lot of crow when I went through my awakening experience. And it was very healthy. It was a very good aspect, I think, of the Great Awakening, was having to admit you had been wrong, and having to re-examine the things that you just knew to be true and be like, whoa, wait a second, I had that all wrong. And a lot of people went through that with the politics and things like that, but a lot of people are having a really hard time still letting go of that when it comes to, let's say, the religious aspect of things. Not that you necessarily have to let go of your religion. Actually, religion serves a really important purpose. And I'm finding that I'm actually the religious portion of whatever you want to call it, spirituality, has actually been really important for me to get back into these last couple weeks, because without that foundation for me, I'm just kind of floating out into space. And um so I very much think that religion, spirituality can give people a really good solid foundation. As far as I mean, pretty much every major religion other than like a couple of the bad ones have the same messages, which are just it, be a good person, treat others how you want to be treated. Um, tr- they're based around the dignity of human life, and um, yeah, just being as good as we can to each other. So it's basically all the same stuff, just presented in a different way. So for me, the raw material is like, just, I guess, the expression in which I gravitate towards it. Like, it just makes sense to me. I've tried reading the Bible. I've read certain parts of the Bible, and the wording of it and all of that. I mean, it's above my head. And so that's not what I'm connecting with, but I connect with this information um a lot. So anyway, I was going to bring up my notes from the video I made that never came to be. So essentially, um, I guess I'll just talk about what the book is for those of you, because I'm actually surprised. I kind of feel like I always felt like everybody read this already. And then I've recently been posting certain quotes on my Instagram story, and I get a million messages after every single one. What book is this? What book is this? So I was surprised that so many people have not read it, have not even heard of it. So basically, what the raw material is in the early 80s, they were channeling this information, and it was three people, Carla Ruckert, Don Elkins, and then I forgot McCarty's first name. But anyway, they had been channeling for a long time, and they were messing with a bunch of different configurations and all of that. I will say that, in my opinion, channeling is if you're not careful, you don't really know what's coming through. So people that know how to do it and know how to put up protections and make certain declarations that only that which is of the light or that which is good can come through is really important, because there are negative entities that will try to come through. And part of what they will do, I find, is they will try to dazzle you in some way by giving you information, almost like psychic information, so that you are like, wow, this is real. Oh my gosh, this is this is definitely a higher intelligence, and it will get you to accept whatever it is, whatever else they say. So you have to be really careful with channeling. Jim McCarty, thank you. Hi, Lala. Hold on. This is really bright for me to look into. So let's see if that is okay. That's better, right? Okay. Now I'm not on the surface of the sun. So that being said, about channeling, also some good stuff can come through. And one of the things that this book goes into is the importance of the consent to know. Part of the reason that these other beings, let's say, from other dimensions and other planets, don't just land on our lawn or like, hey, do you have any Kool-Aid? Is because it is important that we're ready for their contact. We have strayed so far away from our brothers and sisters that are out there. We feel like we're the only ones, and our society has felt like we were the only ones. Everything has been geared towards that for so long that it really would disrupt our consciousness collectively for them to just force themselves on us. So, really the only no-no in the law of one is to infringe on somebody else's free will. So if you take that in through what the big religions say, you don't kill anybody, you don't rape anybody, these are fundamental beliefs that I think we can all agree on. And part of that infringement, though, is forcing somebody to acknowledge something that they're not ready to acknowledge. You guys remember when I had that freak out some months back, where I was like, you don't force people into your awakening. Actually, that was a warranted freak out, I think, because that was when there was a lot of ugly stuff coming out about things that were happening to children, and I was getting tagged in stuff on Twitter that that were just not okay. And there were some people that were arguing with me. They were of the belief that, no, you have to show people these things in order for them to understand. And I fully disagree. Number one, I think that nobody has to see it in order to understand how evil those acts are. And number two, the whole purpose of the Great Awakening and all of what we're doing is to heal wounds, to heal trauma, not to create more trauma in people. And Lasky Land says, isn't love the one law? Yes, essentially, yes. Are you aware of Farsight Prime with Courtney Brown? No, I am not. Twitter is a toxic cesspool. Yes and no. Uh-oh. Hold tight for a brief commercial break. What do you need? Do you need something? False alarm. Hi, Tina. Look at the Star Trek. Hi, what do you need?
Could I have a treat?
Not right now. We're gonna have dinner in just a little bit.
Well, how much are they?
I don't think we have any. Shut the door, please.
I'll just go check it.
Okay, you check, but I'm sure we don't. Where were we? So the infringement upon the desire to know, let's say. So essentially what happened was this entity, they call themselves a social memory complex, which I guess to me, what I picture is, you've got yourself and then you've got your higher self. This is the part of you that knows everything. Like before you.
Those like lollipops that you
No.
have when you're sick.
Nope, those are medicine. Those aren't candy.
Oh, well then I'll have one.
No, you're not sick. Hold on, stay over there. Okay, out, please. Thank you.
I don't want medicine just because.
I know. Out. Oh my gosh, that reminds me when I was a kid, I used to sneak up into the medicine cabinet and drink the Triaminic. I don't know if you guys remember. Do they still make Triaminic? It is a very terrible idea because it's actual medicine and it tastes exactly like candy. What can I say? My mom had these things called AIDS, and they were for weight loss, and they were like caramels, and then they would expand in your stomach so that you wouldn't be hungry. And I used to eat those and get really sick. The tussin. Let the tussin get in there. Where were we once again? So so essentially, now I lost my train of thought again. It'll come to me. Like in the Law of One, there was a teaching that Moses in the beginning was getting Law of One type teachings, very positive. Yahweh, how do you say that? Then a negative imposter took over and Moses got negative info. So that's one of the things that obviously people that are very religious might have a problem with. But it does make sense to me that what they do say about Moses was that he was very much of the light and that his purpose was essentially service to others. We'll get into that in a second. But that the commandments that came down actually came from the Orion group, which was trying to create this distortion of essentially the way that I look at it is setting up these rules for people that they can't possibly live by completely, thereby creating guilt in them when they mess up. And, part of the infringement upon self-will, what am I, infringement on self, sometimes my brain just like flies out the window. Whatever that thing is where we get to make our own decisions. Is, they say thou shalt not is basically infringing upon your, rights to make your own choices. Obviously, your rights end where somebody else's rights begin. And so, even if you really, really want to kill somebody else, that is a conflict because you can't infringe upon them. So anything, it's not that everything is good to do or that you can just go out and do whatever you feel like, but it's about karma is almost mathematical. It's not about punishment, and the more you kind of mess up, you tend to learn, and you start to gravitate and start to formulate and start to choose better each time. That's why I've talked a lot about people who have, stuff in their past that they're like not super proud of. And really, when it comes down to it, a lot of these people I know that have like really messed up pasts are the coolest people because they have built upon those experiences and they use them to connect with other people and to help teach other people. And it also just kind of galvanizes what it is you believe. Because if you just run from human experience, which is basically what we're here to do. If you just go and sit on the top of Mount Fuji and avoid every temptation that this world has to offer, are you really learning of this realm? What is the purpose of being here? It seems like we could do that meditation practice in any density. But this earth experience is free will. Thank you, guys. This earth experience is apparently very sought after. It is it's very special. And part of the reason it's so special is because it's so fucked up. So we have a lot of opportunities here to grow because there's no growth without pain, suffering, pressure, etc. The law of confusion and the law of one teaching is like free will. Yeah. Yeah, so a lot of the times when they talk, okay, so the reason I liked the Keepers of the Garden that in a different way than the law of one, it is very dry. They are very precise with their words, and they use different terminology than, what would be, casual to us. And so it takes a little bit to get used to it. But now I've read in the past week the first 3, and I like talk like them in my mind. I'm like, I think my mind, body, spirit complex would like a glass of water. Hi, Nicole. I am feeling refreshed. Oddly enough, my wife divorcing me was the awakening I needed. I'm a better person because of it. I matured exponentially. That's such a great point. Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, some of the worst things that we go through can be the catalysts for the best things that we become. I actually talked about this the other day when, yeah, Albert, if you missed it, this was the book I talked about last week. This is essentially just turning into the adults reading Rainbow, which is always what I wanted this show to be anyway. With methods last week or a couple weeks ago, whatever it was, we talked about, he brought up that if this Great Awakening or if 17 had come along in, let's say, 2012, he's like, I wouldn't have been ready for it. I wouldn't have been a part of this because I was so wrapped up in these other things and I wasn't mentally prepared and blah, blah, blah. And I was thinking about it. Same for me. I was not, especially in 2012. So after I had my son in 2015, I went through postpartum depression, and it was literally the worst thing I've ever been through. And, even after I got through it, I was still like, why? Why did that need to happen? Like, It didn't make me a better person. It didn't make me, I was always, it wasn't like I don't know, I didn't see the worth in it. I didn't see what could possibly have come from it other than just getting over it. And I used to hate, my mom used to say to me, well, things are making you stronger. I'm like, I don't want to be strong. I want to be comfortable and happy. But if I hadn't gone through that, then I wouldn't have been activated when I found 17 to put myself out there. I wouldn't have felt so strongly about wanting to not I've always wanted to protect children even before being a mother. It's just that seeing that dark side of what the human psyche can do and the ugliness of what your brain can do. And then understanding that other human beings are intentionally inflicting that upon not only other people, but of our smallest, most vulnerable people really lit a flame in me. And also, because of the postpartum depression, I had started blogging and I was putting myself out there, like the ugliest facts about every bit of me. I was just like, whatever, I gotta save myself. And so that was how I did it. I just started blogging, and I really don't know. Well, I do know why. It was because when I started going through it, I was searching for other people's blogs, and they saved my life. And so I felt the desire to return the favor to the world. And in turn, it was helping me feel stronger because I was getting messages from other women and men, actually, telling me how much my blog was helping them through their experience. And so I was like, well, it's a circle of life. And I was just being as raw as I possibly could because I really appreciated that when other people were raw with me or raw with their blogs, because that's what I connected to. And yeah, Anita, PPD is no joke. That is a fact. And all of my beautiful, incredible, lovely friends who were all mothers before me and made it look so easy and so pleasant, so magical, all came to me after I started my blog, and they're like, oh man, I went through that. I was like, where were you bitches when I was pregnant? And you could have been like, by the way, when your child is born and you don't hear angels sing and you look at his face and you think, man, that's a weird looking raisin, and you feel no connection to it, it's not just you. A lot of us feel that way because I felt like there was something incredibly wrong with me, that I wasn't feeling that magic that people describe as when they see their child for the first time. And some people do feel that magic, don't get me wrong, but those people are bitches. I'm just kidding. No, and I know that it can be different for different women. I mean, for the same woman, she can have multiple children and have, 3 pregnancies and 3 births that are like beautiful, magical. And then with the third child, for some reason, you get PPD, or it could be the other way around. So it just depends. And I don't know why that happens, but now I'm starting to find out why. And I think that's because it is awakening something in us, just like every other terrible thing that happens to us, every other soul strengthening thing that we go through is preparing us for whatever is coming next. And it's still your decision whether you're going to step into that role or not. I could still be sitting on my couch right now and just completely tuning the world out and like going through Instagram, like drooling. But I decided not to. I decided to make the choice not to. 18 years in prison made me awaken. Constant fear and pressure manufactured into hypersensitivity. Now I'm aware of my shadow being cast upon others. Thank you, Erin. Exactly. I have a lot of friends that have been to prison, actually. And, it's no wonder when we look back, I mean, just part of the awakening experience is realizing how our society was really set up for that. A lot of people were set up for failure from birth with the way that our society is set up. And that's another important thing to, I guess, look into. But yeah, those experiences where you hit rock bottom, those are the necessary to actually reach your full potential. Yeah, moms lie and say that motherhood is all great. Then you have a baby and it's something different, a learning experience to say the least with postpartum. Absolutely, Grand Rising. Ego is harder to shed than doubt, and fear it was for me anyways. It was for me anyways. Then you have people who will think I have an ego when I do not because of ignorance, breeding assumptions leading to disregard. You grew up in an orphanage. Yeah, well, I mean, um, the I don't have to tell you guys already know the whole separation of families, and because the family is this important foundation of what sends you off into life prepared to make the right choices, etc. And that has been done to our society, I believe, on purpose, was to tear the family unit apart and take away that foundation. Our darkest moments are our greatest teachers. Thank you, Koala. I woke up while I was homeless with my children. Oh my gosh, Brandy. Incredible. It's so funny how you know people. And I was talking to one of my friends the other day, and she's got the most bright, sunny, positive, beautiful attitudes. Like she's almost like she's almost like a cartoon character because she's just so happy and like cool and fun and bubbly in the best way. And then I was talking to her the other day, and she told me about her childhood, and I was like, I was absolutely floored. I couldn't believe um, what she came from and what she became. I mean, I can believe it because it just is how it happens. Um, for a lot of people, you know, everything is a choice, and you can have a really awful, terrible childhood and grow up to be a remarkable person. Like we said, like the catalyst, that is the catalyst for becoming great. Sorry, I have something in my eye and it's driving me nuts. You know, when we read stories about these wonderful men and women and throughout our history that did incredible things, they very rarely start off with, she had an uneventful upbringing in the suburbs, right? Fathers get PPD too. I was severely depressed. Joe, exactly. That is a very real thing. And like I said, I had men reaching out to me as well with my blog saying that I was helping them. And it is important for us to keep in mind because they tend to get kind of brushed aside and all the focus goes to the mother when a baby is born. But in a in a functioning family unit, the father is obviously just as important as the mother is. Obviously, she's going through different things because she's physically going through it. But the sleep deprivation, that's a huge cause of it. And the men go through the sleep deprivation as well. It's not just the person having the baby. Choose your polarity. Yeah, so thank you let's bring this back to the raw material, the law of one. Essentially, that is what it comes down to, is choosing your polarity, choosing whether or not you are going to live a life that is service to yourself or service to others. And of course, it's going to be a blend of that. And it's an important thing that they go into. It is talking about how, you can't just be one or the other. Whoa, I almost just fell flat on my face. I have like 19 pillows under me. So, taking care of yourself, just as I just did, right? What did I just do? For 2 weeks, I just took a break. I was like, peace out, everyone. I'm not talking to any of y'all. I am going to go focus on myself and seek the creator. And I needed that break. I needed to take care of myself because in service to self is also being of service to others. Because if you are taking care of yourself, then you have the ability to help take care of other people. You have the strength to do that, but also nobody has to take care of you. If I just gave up and was like, or allowed myself to get to a breaking point where I was like the point of no return, where Kate's in the fetal position and now somebody's got to come and be service to me. So servicing myself was one of the best things that I could possibly do. And for me, it's going to look different for all people. But for me, I had actually unfortunately let it get to a place that I shouldn't have let it get to. I should have done this probably a while ago, but I waited until, I hit my rock bottom. I had something going on in my personal life that was just, it just punched me right in the gut. And so it forced me to do this. And I went back to my passions, which are reading. I was taking time to like hike and cook. Oh, I made chili last night. Oh, what's really funny is I've actually been like 3 times this week. I'm like, I'm going to fast, not for health reasons, but actually for spiritual reasons. And I failed miserably. And then on the third day, or fourth day, I was like, you know what? I'm not even going to try today. And so I made chili, but my chili is bomb. It's worth it. Anyway, so but I think I'm going to try again tomorrow, because I am hearing, actually, that's a lot. There's a lot more in the Law of One, book 2, about our physical bodies. And it goes into more in depth into the chakra system, which was new to me. I've never researched the chakra system before. So that was very interesting, enlightening. And they did touch on fasting a little bit in there. And so I'm like, well, whatever, I might as well give it a shot. I'm at the place now, I'll try anything. You're gonna buy me a chair. Like, it's not, I don't know what'll do it. I guess I need a chair that goes up a little bit higher, maybe, that I can adjust. And but I actually have one of those that's in my office. I'll play with that later. What type of chili? Just just basic chili. But when I cook, I don't ever use a recipe, because the reason I like to cook is I like to create. And I hate to bake. So the way that I always looked at it is, cooking is like art, where you get to just do whatever you want, and baking is science, where everything has to be measured accurately and done the right way. Otherwise, it doesn't work. So I always liked cooking and hated baking. Plus, I like the results of cooking. I'm not really like a sweets person or like a carb person, but it's basically, my recipe is just like a regular chili recipe. It's like, meat and beans and all of that. But I add my 3 secret ingredients that I swear by. Cocoa powder. I actually put a ton of cocoa powder in my chili. It makes it really kind of rich and decadent. Curry, because I love curry and I put curry on everything. When I was pregnant, I put curry on bananas. I used to make rice cakes with peanut butter and put curry on it. I'm just like a curry fiend. Real slut for curry. And cinnamon. Cinnamon, I don't put a ton of, just a little bit, but it just really makes it this has turned into a cooking channel. Anyway, it's really good. And I don't typically eat a lot of meat anymore, as Alara would say. I don't eat the other selves, but it just sounded really good. And the weather's kind of getting colder here, and I'm just like, I'm going to eat some chili. Yes, cocoa powder in the chili is a very good idea. Nicole, you should try it. Curry and tuna salad. That's one that I have not tried yet. Interesting. Many have left God because of a bad experience with religion. However, God is bigger than man-made religion. P. Rich, absolutely on point. Thank you. Couldn't have said it better myself. How much cocoa? So when I make my chili, I make a double recipe, because I'm always like, well, if I'm gonna cook, I'm gonna just make a ton, because we love leftovers. So 2 pounds of this really has turned into a cooking channel. I'll get through this quickly, I swear to God. 2 pounds of ground beef. Then you've got 2 cans of black beans, 2 cans of kidney beans, 2 cans of diced tomatoes. Then I would say like 2.5 tablespoons of tomato paste. Then 2 tablespoons of chili powder. Typically, people put 2 tablespoons of coriander. Is it coriander? Coriander. I think it's coriander, but I'm not a huge fan of coriander, so I put like about half. And then 2.5 tablespoons of cocoa powder. And then I just eyeball the cinnamon. I just put like a few dashes of cinnamon and a few dashes of curry, but you can play around with it. It's always better the second day. It is like I made it and it was smelling so good. My kid and I were like, we're gonna eat it now. But the longer you let it simmer, up to a certain point. Oh, beef stock. You want to use beef stock. Some people use water. I like using beef stock as long as I'm cooking with beef. So first you brown the meat with onions. I do a whole like 1.5 yellow onions diced and 2 cloves of garlic, and then you brown the meat and the onions and the garlic all together. I actually start with the onions and the garlic because I like them really cooked down before I add the meat. Then you brown the meat, then you add that to all the canned stuff. Cumin, thank you, not coriander, cumin. Thank you. Can I talk about something else? Definitely. Bye, Nicole. We'll see you in a little bit. Yeah, Nicole's going to go live right after this. So we've got about 15 minutes left here, and then we're going to scoot so that we don't step on Nicole's live. This is why I'm going live earlier today, because we don't do daylight savings. So I had to, I can't do it later. So I'm doing it earlier. Anywho, back to the law of one cooking. Now we're all into food. Now I'm getting hungry. I haven't eaten yet. Yeah. So where were we with the law of one? Anyway, when it comes to waking people up, when it comes to just helping people through that process, I think a lot of us get really impatient to affect a lot of people at once. How many people can I wake up? But really, if you can focus on even just one person, if you can help one person wake up, then you have, I think, succeeded in your mission. So to me, even though this information is not for everyone, it will be really, really, really for some of you. Some of you will read this book, and like me and some of my friends, it will completely change your life. Some of you will roll your eyes at it because it doesn't line up with your already beliefs. So, but I wanted to cover it anyway, just because, yeah, it changed my life. And this is the Kate Awakening, where I talk about all the things that helped me, in the hopes that maybe one or some of them will help you guys. I have helped a lot, and that's my mission, to help as many as possible. Ever read the Emerald Tablets? Yeah, I have that. I did read that. Ra helped me see my light. You're Hungarian. Everything needs some paprika in it. You like the earlier show. Yeah, this might be my new time slot, guys. So hopefully you guys like it. Yeah, like I said, there are 5 volumes of it. There are 4 sessions. Like, this is session 1 through, what is it? Doesn't really matter. They're all just broken up, and it's literally just a transcription of the sessions. So it's a little bit dry, but once you start getting into the information is so good, and the perspective resonates so much that you will kind of forget that it's written very dry. And I actually crave these books now. So start off with the first one, obviously, and see how you feel about it. And then the other ones do get into more specialized topics, like I said. And I have studied the law of one, and it's really special in the awakening path for me. That's awesome. Oh, speaking of Buddhism, I have a friend that's kind of shopping for religion, let's say, right now, which I get because I've been there before. I actually was there kind of recently, even though I have a religion, but I like kind of strayed from that path because, well, it doesn't really matter why, but I just did. And I started to get back to it recently because I was like, wait a second, no, this really does fit me as a person, and this does speak to me, and I can still take a lot of these other things that I'm finding out in the world and bring it back and just keep what resonates and ditch what doesn't. And it's because my friend is kind of shopping right now, and she was asking me questions about my religion. It's forced me to start researching more into what it is I actually believe, because sometimes, unless you grow up in a religion with a religion where study is like you are Christian and you go to Bible school on Sundays and you are studying that Bible. A lot of us grew up with religions where it was kind of almost in the background, and we knew that we practiced and we knew some of the things that we believed, but it's like you're not like an expert on it. So now I'm starting to read more. Oh man, talk about dry. I've read a couple books so far this in the last couple weeks on Nichiren Buddhism, which is like the fundamentals or the life of Nichiren Daishonin and where this came from and everything. And so far, I have not found a book that I recommend, just because the ones I've read are just so dry. So if I find something good, I'll let you guys know. Cyber Monday deal may still be on for shopping for a religion. Yeah, can I get it on Amazon? I can teach her Buddhism. Shingon Buddhist monk. I think part of the reason that she'll gravitate towards Nichiren Buddhism the way that I have is like we've kind of talked about it. There's so many different kinds of Buddhism, right? There are literally thousands of kinds of. It's the oldest, isn't it? The oldest religion on the planet. So, and they are very fundamentally the same in a lot of ways, but also very different. And I don't know. I feel like the Nichiren would fit her. I feel like she's feeling that same way, but I am just now getting to know it. Aaron Abke on YouTube does an amazing job of combining Law of One and Christianity, and a course on miracles, Buddhism, etc. Interesting. That sounds really good. Yeah, you can't separate it all. Take what resonates with you. You can't. I think what you're saying is you can't just like. I think a lot of us are, finding that it's not really about the religion or the rules. It's more just about what kind of spiritual practices. Some people feel a connection with God when they pray, and some people feel kind of goofy when they pray. And it's just about finding what it is that tool. They're all different tools. They're all different tools to kind of arrive at the same place, essentially. People in our world, most of them have come to learn, think too small. Everyone needs to think bigger, much bigger. This awakening is so much bigger than 99% of peeps realize, even in the 17 movement. Kate, would healing be one of your superpowers? I have no superpowers, unfortunately. I think if I have a superpower, something that I've been tapping into lately, and I don't know if I'm going to do this justice without making myself sound crazy, is an ability to love. And I'm kind of tapping into this. I don't know how to use it yet. Just like when Spider-Man got his webs, he got himself stuck to the ceiling a couple times. I think I don't know how to use it, gear it, whatever, totally yet. But this compassion that I'm finding is a new element, let's say, of something that I'm tapping into that feels so much bigger than me. And I would say if I learn how to use it properly, that it could probably be a superpower. If love is the most important thing on the planet, and it is, then it would be the ultimate superpower, wouldn't it? Albert says, I am sorry, but if you are in the SGI, not a good Nichiren Buddhist path. The SGI is a cult. I would say learn from Nichiren Buddhist temple monk. Nichiren Buddhism is very beautiful, blah, blah, blah. I actually had some problems with, not problems, but I kind of went through some feeling out of SGI over the last couple years where, when I grew up in it, it was just all of the all of the belief systems. There was nothing that was contradictory, and it was just really wonderful people all helping each other and supporting each other, and it was this practice and whatever. Then when I went back to the practice when I was 21 and I was living in Los Angeles, there were some elements that I had seen change within the organization where I was like, I don't like that. Like, people have pictures of Daisaku Ikeda, the president of the organization, on their altars. And I always thought, with what I grew up with, that was a big no-no, because we don't idolize other human beings. So we respect, and we show appreciation for everybody that came before us and everybody that's here now that's doing important work. But putting his face on the altar just made me feel kind of icky about it. And they were calling him, what were they calling him? I don't know, something like, I don't even want to say it, but whatever it was, it felt like something had switched kind of within the organization. And I practice now outside of the organization. And I know that's like, they don't like that. If they get a hold of your phone number, you will get a lot of phone calls. It's like, hey, like, just checking in, wanted to see if you wanted to come to any meetings. But right now, because of the virus, they're not having anything in person anyway. So they're not bothering me. And I don't know. Yeah, I think as far as every organized religion goes, it's eventually going to get infiltrated, maybe not even intentionally, but just because knuckleheads get into everything and they spoil everything eventually. And people with, maybe if I had been in 2001 or whatever that was, instead of practicing in Santa Monica, if I was practicing in, like, I don't know, Idaho, it would have been a different experience. But I was surrounded by a high percentage of knuckleheadedry. But I always err on the side of caution of calling things a cult, just because that word gets thrown around so much, and a cult is a cult. I have a friend actually who grew up in a cult, like an actual legitimate cult, and she's always like, no, a cult is this, this, and this, and anything outside of that is not a cult. So I am very clear now, because I used to throw that word around a lot too. So we've got 5 minutes until I'm going to scoot, because Nicole is going to go live. Nicole Frolic. If you guys haven't watched her yet, she's so awesome. I love her big time. Hey, my friend. Hi, Elise. Hey, Wendy. All have been infiltrated except the military. I think the military is a little, I mean, everything's been infiltrated a little bit. There's some bad apples in the military, but yeah, my theory on that was always, when you talk about the different intelligence agencies, that the civilian agencies obviously had been far more infiltrated than the military. And part of that probably is due to the fact that, you sign up for the military, you're basically saying, like, you'll die for your country. And that kind of goes hand in hand with, I think, being a righteous person. So it seems to have more of a filter, definitely, but everything can be infiltrated. Nicole's YouTube. Will one of my moderators put Nicole's link in the chat for me, please? We need help on the southern border. 3 Point Station is getting killed. We are being invaded for sure. So Rob McTavish is my friend in here. He is an expert at the stuff that's going on the border. So he's always really good to talk. He's very knowledgeable of what's always going down there. Thank you, Elise. Yeah, so maybe next week I'll get more into, thank you, Christina, Lala. Next week I'll start getting more into the news stuffs. I'm feeling stronger for sure. I'm feeling ready to get back into that nonsense. And I don't know, but maybe I'll be sharing more books next week because I'm definitely gonna stick with this reading stuff for a while because I always just feel it's when I'm me is when I'm reading, and I like it a lot. So I just realized that I had gotten away from it. So I need to get back to it. And I'm not necessarily going to be reading 5 books a week like I have been, but I will be, continuing to read stuff. And I'll share anything that I come across with you guys that I like. I've had a lot of misses also. Like I said, reading a bunch of books in the past couple weeks, a few things that I just wouldn't even recommend to you guys. I'm getting in the fight. I will be back. Anyway, you guys, head on over to Nicole's page, and oh no, I don't know how to end this. Oh yeah, now I do. Everything's new. Thank you guys for being here and for being here early. I know I keep shuffling things around, but you guys are always really patient and awesome with me, and I really, really love you, and I will be around. See you guys next week, maybe at the same time, 4 o'clock Pacific. Yeah, love you guys. Bye.